No, no. This place, no good.
Here we go.
It all starts in Mexico, where four friends are living their best lives at a sunny beachside resort. Everything seems light and easy, like the kind of trip you talk about for years. Then Amy realizes her earring is gone. She's still patting around her ear when a fellow tourist named Matthias strolls over and holds it out to her. He spotted it sitting at the bottom of the swimming pool. The group loves him for it instantly and pulls him into their evening, buying him drinks and asking questions. Somewhere between rounds, he tells them why he's really in Mexico. His brother came to Mexico with his archaeologist girlfriend to explore some ancient ruin deep in the jungle, the kind of place that exists in no guidebook, shows up on no map, and has never made it into any travel blog. The moment he describes it, the whole table leans in. Matthias says they're more than welcome to tag along the next day. Nobody hesitates, and they all agree. They're up and moving early the next morning. Before heading out, Matthias and his friend Dimitri do something practical. They leave a copy of the map back at the hotel, just so their other friends who are arriving later can find them if things go sideways. They make it to the city center and wait for the guides they booked. The guides never show up. Nobody picks up the phone either, so they hail a cab instead. The driver glances at the map and his whole demeanor shifts. He shakes his head and tells them that the place they've shown is very dangerous, and he means it. A little back and forth later, they offer him cash and money. Eventually wins the argument, but only barely. He'll take them within 2 kilometers of the site. After that, he's done. He drops them at the tree line and pulls away without a second look. The jungle closes around them almost immediately. They start wondering out loud how they're supposed to get back, but Matthias checks his phone and finds a thin sliver of signal still clinging on. He takes the driver's card and saves the driver's number, just in case. Then, not far into the trees, they find the Jeep, his brother's, nose first into the undergrowth, engine cold, long abandoned. It's unsettling, but at least it means they're going the right way. They keep following the map, pushing deeper through the dense heat until they break at a quiet pond. That's when they notice the villagers, a loose group of locals, spread out along the tree line, completely silent, just watching. The group tries greeting and waving at a few children standing nearby. The kids don't react, don't blink, don't speak. Then Matthias sweeps aside a wall of leaves and branches and finds a path hidden behind them, deliberately covered. Amy stops walking. Something about it bothers her. A trail that someone went out of their way to conceal. Jeff takes her hand and pulls her forward, telling her she's overthinking it. The path eventually spits them out in front of the ruin, and for a moment nobody says a word. It's enormous and strange and oddly beautiful. Amy starts shooting photos. Matthias looks up toward the top of the structure and spots his brother's tent sitting right there. Which should be a relief, it isn't. Before that feeling even has time to settle, a man on horseback comes barreling toward them, shouting angrily in a language they don't understand. His horse won't go near them. It keeps pulling back, refusing. Jeff thinks maybe the man wants money and offers some. The man doesn't even look at it. 2 more locals materialize from the trees behind him. Matthias holds up his phone, showing a photo of his brother, trying to communicate. One of the villagers simply reaches over and takes the phone right out of his hand. At the exact same moment, Amy, who has been quietly stepping back to get a better angle for a photo, puts her foot down on some kind of strange plant. The villagers completely unravel. They're screaming, raising weapons, threatening death. Dimitri, rattled and reacting badly, scrambles up the vine-covered wall to snatch his camera back. It's exactly the wrong move. When he tries to return it, an arrow goes straight through his chest. A second shot rings out almost immediately. Everyone else runs up the stone steps, legs pumping, not looking back, until they're standing breathless at the very top of the ruins. From up there, the situation becomes horribly clear. Villagers are pouring in from all sides, pitching camp at the base of the structure in a wide, unbroken ring. None of them climb, they just settle in and watch. When they look at the rooftop, they see the remains of a small campsite. Tools, supplies, signs of recent life, but no people. Their phones have no signal up here, and Matthias's is still somewhere down below with the villagers. In the middle of the ruins is a pit, massive, dark, and seemingly bottomless. With absolutely no safe way to get down, Matthias crouches at the edge and calls his brother's name. The sound just falls away into nothing, then something catches his eye. Something pale. Wedged into the vines growing along the inner wall, he pulls the plants back and freezes completely. It's his brother, dead, wrapped up in the vines like he was never meant to be found. Matthias pulls back from the edge, and that's when he notices the itch, a hot, crawling sensation moving up his hand from where he touched the vine. Everyone pulls together, though there's not much comfort to be found. The villagers are not moving. They're clearly not going to. Jeff tries to keep it together, talking steadily, reminding them that the hotel knows where they went, that if they don't return, someone will call the police, that Dimitri's friends are supposed to be arriving soon and will start asking questions. It's the best version of a bad situation, and they all know it. Then the conversation dies completely. A ringtone, thin and distant, floats up from somewhere inside the pit. Matthias is moving before anyone can stop him. He ties a rope around his waist, grabs a lantern, and they slowly lower him while he climbs down. A few seconds later, the rope snaps, he drops, screaming, and disappears. Then comes the sound of shattering glass, and below that, the sound of him in pain. There's no time to process it. They knot a second rope, tie a lantern to Stacy, and lower her down. The rope runs out before she reaches the bottom. The others tell Stacy that it's the end of the rope and they have no more. Stacy looks below her. Matthias is there, down on the ground, and it looks close enough. She unties herself and drops. It's not as close as it looked. The moment she lands, broken glass from Matthias's shattered lantern pierces into her knee. She's picking pieces out when Matthias says quietly that he thinks his spine is broken. Stacy shouts back to the others that Matthias's spine may be broken, the bottom of the pit smells horrible, and that there is no way to safely move him. Amy tells the others not to drag him anywhere, that moving a spinal injury could kill him faster than the injury itself. So she tries the only other option. She walks toward the villagers with her hands out. Every single weapon comes up before she gets anywhere near them. Jeff hauls her back. In the commotion, she stumbles and pitches sideways into the vines. The villagers go loud again. Amy, shaking and furious, grabs armfuls of vines and throws them back. Most scatter out of the way. One strand catches a child on the arm. One of the villagers shoots the child dead without flinching. The mother stands in shock, staring. Amy sits down in the dirt and cries. Jeff gets her back up the steps, and just like that, they understand. The villagers aren't angry, they're afraid. The plants are what terrifies them. That's why Dimitri died. That's why the child died. And that's why nobody gets to leave, because every single person up on these ruins has already touched the vines. They're all contaminated now, and the villagers intend to make sure that contamination stays exactly where it is. Down in the pit, Stacy hears the ringing start again. She follows it and then goes very still. There's no phone. The sound is coming from the vines themselves, the plants trembling and resonating in a way that sounds almost exactly like a ringtone. She doesn't touch anything. A makeshift stretcher is created up above, and Amy is lowered down to help. Again, the rope is too short. The two women position themselves under Matthias and lift together until they get him onto the stretcher. He's tied down, and the others haul him up. The girls climb back up after. Jeff looks Matthias over carefully. A medical student by training, he says clearly that Matthias cannot be moved again, not without risking everything. Amy turns out his brother's bag and finds the Jeep keys inside. Jeff finds Dimitri's plane ticket, leaving the next morning. When Dimitri doesn't show up for that flight, people will come. Eric gets the lantern sorted. Jeff wraps Matthias in a blanket and tries very hard not to think about what happens if infection sets in overnight. They sleep in the tent. In the morning, Stacy wakes up screaming. A vine has curled itself around her leg in the night. Eric starts pulling it away, and Stacy tells him, voice cracking, that she can feel something moving inside her leg, under the skin. They look, and she's right. The vine has threaded itself into her wound and is actively growing inward. Eric pulls everything he can reach. Jeff figures it out while Eric works, that it's the pollen. It's on their skin, in their clothes, and the moment it finds an open wound it takes root. Nobody says anything for a while after that. These plants are going to work through them one by one, and the villagers below know it. That's the whole point of keeping them here. They are not keeping them to be cruel, but to contain the vines from spreading. Matthias tells them his legs don't feel right. Amy lifts the blanket and immediately looks away. Both legs are completely wound in vines, which have been growing around them through the night. He's crying without making much noise. Jeff says that if the plant has made it inside the tissue, they're already in a race they might lose. They strip the vines off as fast as they can, but what's underneath is bad. The wounds are deep and ragged and nearly impossible to clean properly. Then the ringing comes from the pit again. Amy and Stacy each take a torch and head down. The sound leads them into a narrow cave off the main shaft. They pick their way over the vines and move toward the back of the tunnel, where they find a woman lying face down on the ground, buried in plants. They turn her over. She's dead. Almost certainly the archaeologist, Matthias's brother's girlfriend. She's still holding her phone. The girls reach for it. The screen is completely destroyed. The ringing starts again. Amy lifts her torch toward the sound and stares. The vine's flowers are vibrating, petals moving rapidly, producing a tone that is startlingly close to a ringtone. She reaches toward one out of instinct. The vines snap around her wrist immediately. She tears herself free. Then the walls come alive, plants convulsing, a body shoved out of the darkness toward them, torches ripped clean from their hands. They run. Amy gets out first. A vine grabs Stacy's ankle and pulls her flat. Amy doubles back, grabs her, and they grab onto the rope together, yelling for the others. Back up top, the group is fraying at the edges. Eric says they need to leave and find help now. Jeff reminds him that the second anyone tries to descend, the villagers will shoot their American citizens, he says. Eventually, people will come looking, and their only job until then is to not die. They split what's left of the food and water into portions so small they barely count as portions. Jeff checks Matthias again and doesn't try to hide what he finds. The infection is spreading fast. To stop it from reaching the rest of his body, both legs have to come off. The argument that erupts is brief and horrible. It ends when Matthias himself says it quietly, clearly, with his eyes open. Cut them off. The girls go into the tent. Jeff gets as much alcohol into Matthias as he can manage, puts a belt between his teeth, heats a rock until it's almost glowing, and begins. Eric holds him down with his whole body weight. The screaming brings the girls bursting out of the tent and shouting at Jeff. Almost the moment it's over, the vines slide out from the edges of the ruins and drag the severed legs away into the dark. The second night is harder than the first. Jeff goes down the stairs again to look, but the circle of tribesmen holds. Stacy cries without stopping inside the tent. Amy sits outside with her back against Eric's arm, worn completely through, and he wraps an arm around her without thinking. Stacy steps out and sees it and reads it as something it isn't. She accuses Amy of trying to steal her boyfriend. The two of them get into arguing, voices rising. While everyone is focused on each other, the vines find Matthias. By the time Jeff looks over, he is dead. Stacy falls apart. She's certain the vines are in her too. She gets hold of a knife and tries to cut herself open to check. Eric wrestles it away. She screams and throws him off, and then the vine's flowers start speaking, playing her own voice back at her on a loop, perfectly copied over and over. Morning comes. Jeff and Amy stand at the edge of the ruins and watch the tribespeople below walking the perimeter and pouring salt in long lines along the ground. Keeping the vines penned in, Jeff reasons. He tells Amy this plant is genuinely ancient, something that has been here long enough that every creature in the jungle has learned to stay away from it. Not a single bird, not a single animal, nothing comes near it voluntarily. Eric comes out of the tent looking pale. Something is wrong with Stacy. Inside, they can all see it. Movement just beneath the surface of her skin, slow and purposeful. The vine is still alive in there. Stacy sees their faces and starts begging. Jeff works methodically. Alcohol incision, hand inside the wound, pulling out whatever he can reach. She screams all the way through it. He goes into her back as well, finding more. But with her barely holding on to consciousness, they can still see something moving under the skin of her forehead. It's too far in. There's no reaching it now. Eric says it plainly, nobody is coming. They've run out of time to wait. If they want to get out, they move in the dark and they figure it out as they go. While the others try to rest and think, Stacy slips out of the tent on her own. She walks toward the sound of the flowers repeating her voice, moving through the ruins like she's following something only she can hear. When the others come out and find her, she is standing completely still. She is there in body, but whoever she was is gone. Jeff goes to her. She puts a knife through his hand. Eric moves to grab her, and she turns and drives it into his chest without a flicker of hesitation. Eric falls. He is gone before he stops moving. Stacy looks down at him and then crumples where she stands. The vines come for Eric quickly. They drag him away into the dark. Stacy stops fighting. She starts asking, very quietly, for someone to end it. She can feel what's happening inside her, and she is done. Jeff stands over her for a long moment and then does what she's asking. He moves quickly after that. He takes some of Stacy's blood and works it into Amy's clothes. He puts the Jeep keys in her hand and holds her gaze. He tells her that no matter what happens, she shouldn't stop running, carries her down the stairs and lays her at the base of the ruins, arranging her until she looks like another casualty. Then he walks away from her, far enough to matter, and starts making noise. He shouts at the tribesmen, waves his arms, does everything he can to pull their focus entirely onto himself. He watches from the corner of his eye, waiting for the gap between them and Amy to grow wide enough. Then he screams her name as loud as his body will allow. She is up and running before the sound fades. The arrows hit Jeff in seconds. He goes down hard. The vines begin moving toward him, and the tribe's leader steps forward and fires once more. A quick end at least. Amy doesn't look back. She runs through the jungle with the tribesmen behind her, branches tearing at her face and arms, her legs threatening to give out. She finds the Jeep where they left it. The key goes in. The engine catches. She drives and keeps driving, and her lungs don't fully open again until the jungle is long behind her. But somewhere on that open road, something shifts beneath her skin, something that is only just beginning.